And in our first half hour, we are bringing back, who comes on every month, Mary O'Sullivan. She's the owner of Encore Executive and Professional Coaching. And the segment is brought to you by Encore Executive and Professional Coaching. And Mary talks about results-based coaching. But today she's really, because we're in the new year, she's talking about what are you going to resolve to stop doing in 2017. We talk a lot about what we're going to do, but what are we going to resolve to stop doing? So we're going to talk about that today. We're also going to talk about all of the wonderful resources that we have, not just for coaching, but for so many products and services here in Rhode Island that we really, don't have to go to other places because we've got some experts here. We can go to other places, but we've got some of the best right here in our state. Welcome, Mary.
Hello, Patricia. Thank you.
Yeah, great to have you on. So this is interesting, and this is a blog that's on your website. You have big stop signs on your blog.
Right.
And it says, what are you going to resolve to stop doing in 2017? Okay. It's a little bit of a, double entendre, or is it the kind of instead of what are you going to do, what are you going to stop doing?
Right. I think what happens, and I'm sure you're familiar with this as well, is that we really overschedule ourselves and we take on way too many things. And some of my clients, to be quite honest with you, can't get out of their own way because they have so many priorities and they don't know how to really order those priorities. So everything to them is equally as important.
Yeah.
So rather than belabor the point with, what's really most important, what I've tried to do with them is to make a not-to-do list. Not a to-do list, but a not-to-do list.
Yeah.
So,
and what are some of the things that are on that list, Mary? Give us an example.
Well, okay. So from a personal standpoint, myself, I've done things like I've made a list of things like I'm not going to stay up too late because that ruins your whole next day. But for people in business, they have a lot of issues that they're thinking about all the time. And as you know, I'm expanding my business into supporting more business folks. And one of the questions that I ask them often and ask them when they're going to stop, when are they going to stop lying awake every night worried that their business might fail?
Because that doesn't do anything, does it?
No.
It just makes you crazy.
Not. Just worrying about it is just making things worse.
Yeah.
You're going to lose sleep, and you're not going to be your best. You're not going to be ready and prepared to solve those problems. Others, think about this. I've asked people this question. In fact, I was at a network event earlier in the week on Monday night, and I asked people this question. Are you tired of being the only car left in the parking lot? So it's 5:30, and you look out the window, and you're the only one still there. I'll bet there's plenty of your listeners right now that have had that experience. So you're late for dinner, and you've missed your child's school event, whether it was sports or a parent meeting or whatever. So that's another thing that we can begin to think about stop doing or putting on our not-to-do list. I'm not going to be the last car in the parking lot in 2017.
Right. Yeah. I want to bring something up when you were talking about this always doing things, because this is an interesting experience for me. I do a lot, and you get addicted to it. You get addicted to constantly doing.
Yeah.
And over the holidays, there were some quiet days for me. And it was interesting because it was so hard. I thought like the world had stopped. For me, it was like, is the world going to continue the next day?
Right.
And it's interesting because now that things are gearing up again, as soon as the new year started, things geared up again. But I found that I think that quiet time, even though I didn't like it, there was something about that allowed me to get my priorities straight.
Right.
So that I'm just, and I can't really analyze it exactly, but I can tell you I'm much more focused now. I know what works and what doesn't. I'm not so apt to just go say yes and do something just because it's another event, which is what I used to do. I went to everything.
Right.
And now it's, do I really need to go to that one or should I go to this one?
Exactly.
And I'm not so hassled and harried, and maybe that kind of stopping, even though it's not comfortable, was good because
Right.
it really did help to refocus me.
And you make a very good point, because it is not comfortable for people to step back.
Oh, it isn't.
And what happens often is I begin to sort of look at my clients objectively and say, do you really think the world's going to come to an end if you take some time for yourself, or if you make a priority list of things that you want to stop doing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, this technique is used a lot in corporate, because I've attended a couple of big corporate workshops. As you know, I came out of that world after 30 years. And one of the questions that they ask when they're talking about improving team performance is, what does the team have to stop doing? So if you are engaged in a culture change of some kind, there are behaviors that are going to slow down or stop that culture change.
Yeah.
So if a company really wants to get clear on their own internal mission, vision, values, and goals, they have to figure out what they need to stop doing.
Mm-hmm.
And a good example of that I'll use is harassment.
Mm-hmm.
So not only is certain types of harassment illegal, but it's also doesn't make a very fun work environment.
Right.
So that would be a thing that if I were coaching a business, that I would recommend that if you have folks that are feeling like they've been hassled or harassed, we have to identify where that behavior is coming from and then get people to stop doing it.
Yeah, and I think the challenge becomes that it becomes habitual.
Exactly.
And
right.
often the people who exhibit the behavior have gotten rewarded for it, right?
Exactly
people get intimidated,
right.
They run away, they get scared. So, there are rewards. So it's a behavior change, but as you said, you've got to have that awareness first, and you really have to want to change it, because
right.
it can become a habit
right.
in some ways.
Another good example is if you're talking about a business. If you want to really, let's say you want to improve customer service, so you find that people are not returning phone calls in a timely fashion, or you find that certain key people involved in the business come in late, or they take an excess amount of time off. So there's another example of what that business has to stop doing.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So they can't have people coming in late or not returning phone calls if their goal is to improve customer service.
So what you're really saying is, let's look not just at what can work, but what's not working.
But what's not working,
what's not working,
and
how we can move toward something working.
Right, and how we're going to stop that, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it works the same in personal life as well as in
Absolutely.
a business.
Yeah. I want to bring up, folks, for people to let folks know that there's a great opportunity to meet Mary coming up next week. She has moved in the same building, but to a new office that's much bigger, and she's expanding. So for those of you that can get there, Mary, tell them about this wonderful open house next week.
So this is an open house, and it's free to anybody that wants to come, and we're having a really great time planned here. It's my official ribbon cutting, and the official sponsor is the North Kingstown Chamber of Commerce, because my office is in the Lafayette Mill, but we're having free food that's donated by a wonderful sponsor, the Provisioners, that are on Post Road in North Kingstown. And we have a chair massage person that's coming in, and that's free. And Gooseneck Wineries is sponsoring our wine tasting. We're going to have a Prosecco and a Cabernet Sauvignon. We are still looking for a sponsor for a dessert. I think we're working on 2 folks right now, and we haven't really closed on that. But we also have free music. Mark Greenwood, who's a local musician, works out of Charlestown, is going to be here playing music for us, playing his guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be a really fun night. We're also going to have a drawing for a gift certificate to Whole Foods.
Wonderful.
And I'm also offering everybody that shows up a free 30-minute phone consultation or in person, whichever they'd like. So people just have to sign up when they get here.
So let me ask you, for people who are new to this, who are thinking about it, let's talk about some of the reasons why someone would come to you for coaching, Mary. Doesn't have to be that you have a severe problem, right? Or that your marriage is in crisis, or your job is at its end, or that you have, those can be issues.
Mm-hmm.
But it can be something as simple as something you said. I'm late a lot, and it's bothering me. Or I have this negative thinking, and it's bothering me. Or I intimidate people, and I don't mean to. Any of those kinds of things.
Exactly.
Talk about that.
Well, the first thing to remember is, for all the listeners out there, is when you're having some kind of an issue, as Patricia mentioned, you don't want to wait till it gets to a real crisis phase, because it's really kind of almost out of my purview when you come in and you're really at the end of your rope. That's, I think, when you're going to need some therapy.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, if you want some guidance and some recommendations and maybe some challenges on some of your thinking in making some changes, whether it be being late for work or being overwhelmed with too many things to do, or just having a total hassle at your job, where I've seen this happen where there's somebody that goes on maternity leave or somebody leaves, and then there's a hole in the workload and it gets dumped on one person that can't handle it.
Right.
So that person would come to me to talk about recommendations and ways around that problem.
Mm-hmm.
I have quite a few business owners that I'm working with right now, and we're working on their organizational setup. Sometimes in fact, I did a survey because this was on my mind. One of the biggest complaints I get from business owners is that they say that their team is not aligned, which means everybody's doing their own thing. You cannot run a business, even a family, when people are doing their own thing. And because I've mentioned this before on your show, because a lot of these businesses started off with a group of friends or family members, it's very, very difficult for them to more or less, as you would do in a big company, put the hammer down on these people and rein them in. Mm-hmm. So I help the business owner focus on what's more important to him, loyalty to his friends or the growth of his company.
Right.
And then we explore that.
Okay. And you can work with the business owner, you can work with the team member, the employee. I mean, it doesn't have to be the owner of the company, right? It can be anybody who's having a challenge with some kind of behavior that's interfering with what they want to get done.
With their success and their growth, whether it be personal or
personal as well.
Right. And actually, I did have a business owner. I coached him pretty much through the whole summer, right straight through probably October. He came to me for a business problem, but we ended up spending a lot of time on some personal issues that he had. Because, and I've said this before, and I firmly believe this, that you're a unified.
Exactly.
Your human life is on a continuum. Right. You cannot compartmentalize your personal life and take it away and say it doesn't impact your business or your career life, because it does.
Right.
And he discovered that through that process of coaching, how much his personal life was impacting his ability to do the business that he wanted.
Right. And I think what happens, because I've seen it in my own life, is I'll have a behavior and I'm watching how it's playing out in business, and I'm watching how that same behavior is playing out in my personal life.
Exactly.
And sometimes I don't even realize that they're mixed.
Very
it's unconscious.
And the only time you will get to really realize it is when it starts to cause you so much pain that you really think, okay, now I can't hold out any longer. I need to talk to somebody about it, and that's where I come in.
All right.
Great.
I want to let you know to go to EncoreExecutiveCoaching.com. Mary offers a 30-minute complimentary consultation, EncoreExecutiveCoaching.com. Also, on there is the open house listed on your website, Mary?
Yes, it's under the events tab.
Okay.
They go to the events tab, they'll see.
It'll be right in Lafayette Mill on the 18th, which is Wednesday night.
Right.
Wonderful. There's going to be food and entertainment and massage and speaking and just some really great things. And you'll get to meet Mary and a lot of wonderful people. And it's open to the public. So, again, so you go to EncoreExecutiveCoaching.com. Should people sign up?
People can sign up at the North Kingstown Chamber.
Okay.
Because they are the official sponsor.
All right. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about why you need coaching, but also about the whole idea of coaching and using services right here in our own beautiful state, our small but mighty state of Rhode Island. And this half hour is brought to you by Encore Executive and Professional Coaching. Mary O'Sullivan, who's the owner of Encore Executive and Professional Coaching, and she is offering complimentary coaching sessions. And please log on to EncoreExecutiveCoaching.com. You can write to her and sign up. She also is having a wonderful open house, a ribbon cutting for her new office in the same building, but expanded because she's really growing. So her office is bigger. So that's Wednesday night, the 18th, and you can read all about that. It's going to be really fun. You meet a lot of great people. And Mary, let's give out your phone number.
My phone number is 401-742-1965, and I answer the phone myself, and I schedule all my own appointments. There's no gatekeeper, so people get directly to me if they dial that number.
All right, 742-1965.
Right.
One of the things that we wanted to talk about that you had brought up, and I thought was really good, was the whole idea of many times we look at other places. You know, we look at Boston, we look at New York, we look at, you know, or bigger cities than we have, or bigger states than we have. Mm-hmm. Not even, and we think, well, you know, maybe we should go there.
Right.
Where we have some of the most amazing things here, from universities to scholars to restaurants to coaches to everything.
Right.
I mean, it's amazing. Architecture, landscaping, history, places that are world-renowned in the world right here in Rhode Island.
Exactly. We have so many wonderful things here. As you know, we have the oldest synagogue in the United States.
Oh, yes, I know. And, and Newport's internationally known. Exactly. And I think some of the, one of the hotels recently was one of the top in the world. I mean, there's just so much here.
Oh, yeah, Ocean House.
Ocean House,
down in Westerly. So just quickly, I wanted to sort of promote all the professional services that are here, and mine being one of them. And I think people are a little bit shy about calling a local executive coach because they think, well, you know, how good can she possibly be if she's here? But I have a lot of training and background like all the other wonderful professionals here, the architects and the musicians and the artists and the chefs and all of that. I mean, these people have world-renowned training, and my training is also on a very high level. Mm-hmm. So there's no reason for anybody, any company, to hire like a Lee Hecht Harrison or a Wright Management or any of these big management consulting firms when they can get that same exact type of support right here in Rhode Island, right in North Kingstown.
Right.
And
now, if people want a big firm, that's fine. But what you're saying, though, is that you can get the same quality by working with maybe a smaller company or a smaller business. You may get that from one of those big firms, but you can get that same quality or maybe even better by working with someone local who's very good.
Right, and not only that, but I know the state. I've lived here for 15 years. I have to admit I'm not a native, but I have lived here for 15 years, and I have a very good knowledge base of a lot of the folks and the businesses here in the state.
And you've worked for top companies. You've worked for some major companies like Raytheon.
The biggies, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, and General Electric. I worked for these major aerospace and defense companies for over 30 years. So I came out of corporate, and just so everybody knows, I did not work in an HR role. I was in actual business operations. I did get my hands dirty in the business. So I'm not coming from a sanitized environment, but I do have the training and background that you'll get if you call in somebody from Boston or New York.
Well, you've had a lot of coaching training and a lot of certification.
A lot of coach training, a lot of background. I have a master's degree in organizational leadership. I can help companies with their organizations at every level, including, as I said earlier, their mission, vision, values, and goals, because without those things, you have nothing to base your business on.
Right.
But I don't want people to think that they can't utilize the talent that we have right here. I think in this state, we have a little bit of an inferiority complex, because I've heard that before, right? But we're so good. Buddy Cianci used to say that we have so many wonderful universities here, so many gifted people in this state. We have the first ever water-based or ocean-based wind farm in the United States right off Block Island. That's innovation. I know, because the streets where I live in South Kingstown were torn up for months because we were bringing in the lines from the windmills in Block Island, so it was a reality. So this is the thing, like, we're ahead of the curve in so many things.
Absolutely.
We just need to break out of that, it couldn't be that good if it's here mentality.
And we've got the best.
And
we're bringing on a wonderful company that's 135 years old right after you, and that's one of the best, right here from Rhode Island.
Exactly.
Fabulous. All right, Mary, tell people how they can get you, because we're going to have to run, and we want to make sure people have all the information.
So they can get me at my website, www.encoreexecutivecoaching.com. They can email me at mary@encoreexecutivecoaching.com. And one thing I did want to slip in really quickly is the first thing you're going to see when you go to the website is that my track record is 100% with all my clients.
Wow. Every
client that has done the work has achieved the results that they wanted, and all that information is right on the first page of my website.
401-742-1965.
Exactly.
Thanks so much, Mary.
Oh, thank you, Patricia.
All right, talk to you
Great.
soon.
Bye.
All right, bye. All right, that Half Hour has been brought to you by Encore Executive and Professional Coaching, Mary O'Sullivan.